Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome to my video presentation. I'm Nadir Nasir Shembesh. I'm PhD student at Istanbul OKAN University. By the end of the talk presentation, you will have learned about the old city of Tripoli with proposal for sustainable contemporary art museum. This research paper under supervision Prof. Dr. Khalid Samih Arialdez and the course of Sustainable Planning and Architecture. I plan to say a few words about Old City of Tripoli. Also, I'm going to talk about proposal for Sustainable Contemporary Art Museum with neighborhood. In the first part, I'm going to introducing Old Tripoli. Then, the second part, talk about my proposal. Finally, all going on to talk about SWOT analysis for Sustainable Contemporary Art Museum with neighborhood. To the begin with the first part of my talk, which is about the general location where the old city is located in the western part of the Libyan, as we see in the slide number 2. Let's move to the second part, which is climate of Tripoli. It is a dry climate with warm summer, hot, and rainy in winter. And this climate zone includes the narrow seaside strip, which starts from the western border to the eastern borders of Libya. So, now we're coming to the next point in slide number 4, which is entrance. As a result of the surrounding the old city of Tripoli, which led to the reality of gateway of different direction, those created the main routes and sub-routes to and from the city. Let's turn to the next part in slide number 5, floors of building. As we can see here on the keyboard, the number of floors varies in different colors. It's also the case in the function of building, as we see in the slide number 6, colorate denote each function in the outline. I would now like to change direction and talk about proposal for Sustainable Contemporary Art Museum with neighborhood as a case study. After consideration and analysis of the general location of the old city of Tripoli in terms of the entrance from the border of the city and floors function from the building was focused on the northeastern part of the general site of the old city, at the Arch of Marcus specifically, where he found a piece of land currently used as a sports club with an old and building has no historical dimension. This site can be used to meet the needs of the area after studying and analyzing the surrounding areas. It is better to have a building for Sustainable Contemporary Art Museum in entire site of the old city of Tripoli in 48 hectares. After brief analysis, so now we come to the next point, which is the general site of the museum with currently photo. Let's turn to the next part, the use of neighborhood building as we see in the slide number 8. Let's move to the next part, which is the conception of museum. There are 3 parts to consider. First, architectural plan. Second, sustainable development. Finally, the SWOT analysis. Let's start with a quick look at the first part, that was the architectural plan, with the ground floor, which has a gallery, coffee, hallway, store, kitchen, courtyard, reception, services, stairs, and WC. As we see in the slide number 11, there is a keyboard for areas, each areas that what I took it about. Then, the first floor that has coffee and restaurant, offices, terrace, administration, store, courtyard, kitchen, WC, services, and stairs. And the same thing in the slide number 12, there is keyboard for areas, every areas that what I talking about. Then we took a look at the slide number 13. There is a facade elevation, and number 14 there is a section AA and section BB. Then the slide number 15, there is interior design for the restaurant and interior design for the gallery. So now we come to the next point, which is proposed sustainable components of the proposed site with neighborhood. We proposed to add the sustainable elements of the proposed site with the neighborhood to obtain an environmentally friendly lifestyle design combining traditional Arab architecture and modern technology. I suggest that we to add the green roof in this design. And also, as we see in this slide, recommended to add solar panels, rainwater harvesting system. And propose in this slide to add rainwater harvesting system for gardens, and also supporting the green transition with innovative electric vehicle. In the next slide, that sums up my description of the new model for sustainable contemporary art museum that I had made in this presentation. So now, the same thing in this slide. We see sums up my description of the new model for sustainable neighborhood that I had made in this presentation. Here in these slides, we see photos of the models after adding sustainable elements. Here in these slides, we see photos of the models after adding sustainable elements. Okay, that ends the third part of my talk with SWOT analysis. Let's start with internal factors with strengths. As a strength, an environmental friendly lifestyle design combining traditional Arab architectural and modern technology. A new technology can be tested here and then used on a larger scale in the city. This design provides benefit from the collapse of old building and exploitation of their space. Provide a green neighborhood in the line with sustainable designing. Weaknesses as the high cost of project, which may be transferred between it and its implementation, especially in the evidence that the country is going through now. The difficulties that may face the implementers due to the overpopulation. Several responsible government must agree, which will extend the period of the project. Later, the state's interest in these projects. Let's move to the external factors with opportunities. Attractive investment opportunities. Start project from scratch. The infrastructure can be very effective. Socialization will be made with the new vision and keep with present. The city will save space, freedom, beauty, and essential to growth of the individual. Finally, with SWOT analysis with threats, unfortunately, such design can only be ink on paper. Great emphasis should be placed on making today's cities sustainable. Insufficient awareness of such sustainable cities and designings. Cultural differences may prevent the implementation of such projects. Finally, I would like to thank you for taking the time out to listen to my presentation.